Hello YouTube people, we're back with another vlog, this time with more Lego stuff. I ordered this kit online because you can't buy it at Walmart here, and that's the only store I have in town. This is the Anakin's Jedi Interceptor, model number 9494. It comes with 5 minifigures, which I'll show you each up close, or at least some of them up close. It's a pretty fun build. It comes with some extra shit here, which I'm not super fond of the extra shit that's on top of the ship model or whatever, because I mostly focus on buying ships and building them. But in this case, it's a really nice display piece for the minifigs for your desk. And these are the display pieces, the extra stuff. They're basically the mining droids from the Anakin versus Obi-Wan duel at the end of episode 3. And they look super nice together for the minifigs, in my opinion. These minifigs are kind of interesting in that they have the double faces, so you can choose between different facial expressions. And for Anakin, it's kind of like he's got his mad face and he's got his really mad face, so that's kind of cool, I guess. Some people don't like it, but I think it looks really nice. And another nice thing about these is they have printing on the back of the minifigs, which I guess is something that all these minifigs in the last couple of years have, is printing on the back, compared to when I was a kid. And this is the model itself. It's pretty nice. It's got, unlike the older interceptors, Jedi interceptors, it's got, you can actually put the whole R2 minifig in there. And it kind of locks down there. And something I've seen complaints about in from reviewers viewing this is the landing stuff, like what it sits on. There's no actual like landing gear that comes out or whatever, but I don't really mind that. And a lot of them are complaining that, you know, you can't have the S foils down, these things, while it's sitting on your desk or whatever. But you can't do that on the older ones anyway, because this is, if I recall correctly, this is more or less how it looks in the movie with them deployed. They're straight up and down. I've actually been thinking about ordering some extra pieces just to kind of make, I guess, a dock, so to say, or a display dock kind of thing, so I can have the S-foils down. But I'd have to look into ordering individual pieces directly from Lego or whatever. I don't know how that works, but I got the impression you can do that. It's got some flick fire missiles, which I don't really care for flick fire at all, but the missiles, having missiles at all is cool. The cockpit is kind of loose when it's up, and but it has a little tube lock thing to kind of lock into while it's down, which gives it a nice firm feel. The blaster cannons, the inner blaster cannons, are pretty beefy on this one, and it's got a pretty good look. Now, you might notice this one's green, and you're probably thinking, I don't remember that one from the movies. And I actually did a bunch of research on this while I was waiting for this to ship, and this you're probably thinking, I didn't see this in the opening sequence when Anakin and Obi-Wan are trying to get onto that General Grievous' ship or whatever. And you'd be correct, because this isn't in that scene. This is actually, it's very little screen time, and it's not really direct shots of it in Episode 3, where basically Anakin has just murdered everybody in the Jedi Temple, and he's going to Mustafar to kill Newt Gunray and shit. And this is the ship he uses. This is probably another Jedi's ship, personal interceptor. So even though it's labeled Anakin's Jedi Interceptor, it's not really Anakin's Jedi Interceptor. And to be honest, by the time Anakin is using this, he's already Darth Vader. Maybe not the Darth Vader we would think of in terms of wearing the suit and the mask and breathing heavily and shit, but he was already became a Sith Lord and named Lord Vader by Palpatine. This is a pretty fun build, and if a little easy. Like each wing comes in its own separate bag, and the cockpit comes in its own separate bag, and so there's only 4 bags total, and it's pretty light on pieces. Like, it's a little expensive compared to the other ones on a per piece count. I guess in US dollars, according to the other reviewers, they expect 10 cents per piece, and this one costs $40 US, and it's exclusive to Target or whatever. I actually had to order this off the Lego.com site, and it took about a week, a little over a week, for it to arrive from where they shipped it from, which was in Missouri, and it actually took a few days just to get it into the FedEx system. But I like the look of this ship. It's one of my favorite ships from the prequels, is the Jedi Interceptor. Has a really interesting look that kind of bridges between the prequels and the TIE Fighters and such in the original trilogy, especially with the S-foils and the way they look and stuff, and this whole thing right here. It's kind of interesting lore if you want to check it out. It kind of falls apart if you really examine it reasonably and logically or whatever. Not to abuse logic too much when it comes to fantasy stuff and sci-fi, but I mean, basically what they say is, the reason why they had TIE Fighters, which are light space fighters, is because the Jedi favored these ships, which are light space fighters, and so the Empire adopted those as their primary fighters. But the thing is, that doesn't make a lot of sense, because the clone troopers are in heavy fighters, which is the kind of same basic ship type as the X-wing and the Y-wing, what the rebels use. And the Vader himself in Episode 4, A New Hope, he uses advanced AT or TIE Fighter, which is definitely more of a heavy fighter type craft. I'll go grab that real quick and show you guys kind of what the Lego model looks like. So this is a pretty big craft, and I mean, it's maybe more slimlined in some regards compared to the X-wing, which is a pretty big ship and is a heavy fighter. But it definitely, in terms of comparing to TIE fighter or to the Jedi interceptor. It's a lot bigger, it's a lot beefier. Something you expect to have stronger shields and heavier weaponry on. But, you know, if you're a Star Wars fan, you don't mind the prequels too much. I mean, Episode 3 is probably the strongest out of the prequel trilogy. And it probably has the best ships. Now, on terms of obscurity, I don't think this ship is anywhere really near the, like, Return of the Jedi ships like the A-Wing and the B-Wing that maybe a lot of us grew up on loving the shit out of, even if they got very little screen time, but they were in all the games and shit, like X-Wing and TIE Fighter. But this is definitely an obscure ship, this particular one. That a lot of people are going to look at the green color scheme and be like, I don't remember that movie from the movies. And kind of weird thing on Lego.com is they put this in with the cartoon, the Clone Wars cartoon sets, where it's more of a trilogy set or a movie set. I really like the look of this ship though, and I've decided to make some space on my desk to actually put it down on my desk. If you've seen screenshots on my desk, I usually have a couple Lego models or Gundams up on the top of the tower, and then my minifigs down in front of my monitors. I've actually moved my tablet over because I don't use my tablet very much, and put this one in a place where I can enjoy the look and feel of it more often and kind of play with it a little bit. So, and I really like these things on front of my desk. I have them off to the side where I usually, you know, have my foot up there. So it's a little weird for my foot, but I mean, I really enjoy looking at them. So I think it's a pretty good set. Cost me $50 Canadian, which is, you know, versus $40 American, and the exchange rate is a pretty shit deal because our dollar is actually worth the same or more as the US dollar these days. And it was $8 shipping, and it was really slow shipping, at least compared to what I get inside Canada for the same price or cheaper, or free even. Whereas I can ship across Canada from like BC or whatever for free, or $5 to $10, and it takes, you know, less than 2 days from the time the order is processed. And this took like over a week. So but when you live in a small town like I do, and all you got is Walmart that sells Lego, and you're unwilling to travel 2 hours south to a larger city to shop, what can you do, right? Anyways, probably come out with more of these vlogs on the Lego sets, and maybe examine some of the ones I've already shown a little bit more in detail. Like and subscribe to the videos. You know, you get a lot of general interest stuff, so this isn't really a Lego vlog for sure, per se. You get a lot of random rants and stuff whenever I can be arsed to make a vlog, which is usually when I have something to talk about on camera. Oh, and one thing with building these things over the last year or so, compared to when I was a kid building the Lego space, you see a lot of interesting changes that are really radical from the design philosophy when I was a kid. And it's like how different certain blocks are used, or how they do more layering with smaller pieces, as opposed to when I was a kid there was more larger pieces, and like especially, and a lot less layering. Like you see more of these like 4x1 pieces or whatever, and you see just generally smaller versions of the blocks you would use, and a lot of creative usage of blocks that were pretty common back when I was a kid, but were used completely differently in those sets. And when I'm looking at the Lego reviews online on YouTube, you see quite the difference between some of the older sets from a few years ago, or even from like 12, 13 years ago, when they first started making the Star Wars Lego, and this current round of models, which is kind of this year, last year, and maybe the year before, since like 2010, and even just 2009 models. You see a huge difference between those models and the ones from the last 2 or 3 years, or 1 or 2 years rather. And it's actually quite interesting, and you kind of get a sense of what pieces are going to be in which bags, if it's going to be in the little bag or the big bag kind of thing. But these are really clever, and one thing I'd like to see, because I don't know if you played SWAT or not, but it kind of Star Wars me out for a bit, is I'd like to see Lego come back with their original space lineup kind of thing. Like when I was a kid, they had a couple different lineups of space, like Space Police and Ice Planet and shit like that. And I'd like to see kind of that kind of thing, but updated to their current design philosophy and stuff, and making great looking kits, great looking spaceships. Like this is pretty sick for Lego compared to when I was a kid, where it was more like a lot of wings and a lot of cockpits. And especially since they're more open to having weapons and stuff, whereas when I was a kid it was very kind of semi-anti-violent. Like, you know, at most you have like the loudspeaker as a laser gun type deal, and you kind of had to imagine it more, whereas nowadays you have the straight up gun piece that's like an actual gun. But yeah, like and subscribe, comment below. I don't do these regularly. I just do them whenever I have anything to talk about, rant about, ramble on about, whatever. And I haven't already rambled about it somewhere else. Anyways, thanks for watching. Take it easy, folks.